I don't know about you, but I'm getting sick of waiting, my friends. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's just talk about the trade as it's presented, because we do have a trade to announce, even though the trade call has yet to be completed. For an Edmonton Oilers team that already boasts the likes of Connor McDavid, Connor Ingram, and a team that also had Connor Clattenburg earlier on in the season, add another one to the books, my friends, because Connor Murphy from the Chicago Blackhawks is reportedly heading over to Edmonton. Friedman tweeted this out a few hours ago. Hearing talks are intensifying for Edmonton to acquire Connor Murphy from Chicago. Take a look at this great response from X-Tech. Hearing talks that I'll be acquiring a Chipotle bowl from Richmond Chipotle via DoorDash. Half chicken, half steak. Talks intensifying. Man, I just love seeing people tweet at and poke fun at Elliot Friedman. It's kind of the funny bit. But Elliot Friedman aside, we add ourselves Frank Saravalli as well, going out there and saying this 2 hours ago. The trade call is not expected to be formally completed until later tonight, but Edmonton and Chicago have agreed on this. To the Oilers, Connor Murphy, 50% retained. To the Blackhawks, a 2028 second-round pick. Now, you know me, I'm not the biggest Oilers guy out there, but assuming that this is exactly how the trade is going to go down, I will say this is some pretty tidy business by Stan Bowman and the Edmonton Oilers. Maybe there's an extra later pick, or maybe there's another prospect tossed in there at the very end of it, but if this is it, Connor Murphy for a second with 50% retained on the player, I like this a lot for the Edmonton Oilers. Not bad, the prospect on said. Let Bowman cook, Top Tier Hockey said. I'm surprised you didn't let us know in 2027. Steal of a deal, number 4 D-man for Edmonton, and still a first-rounder to work with. That's a pretty good point as well. Take a look at that, eh? Still have the first-rounder, and you were able to use your second to get a guy like this. Connor Murphy is 32 years old, 6'4", 212, right-handed defenseman, making $4.4 million a year, cut in half, so he's making 2.2 against the Oilers' cap. Contract expires at the end of the season here. Connor Murphy had been a pretty solid shutdown defenseman, quality player over the past few years in Chicago and Arizona. Now, honestly, I get kind of surprised every time I look at Murphy and his numbers, because when I see that he had a 17-point year with Arizona a decade ago, when I see he had a 19-point year with Chicago 5 years ago, when I see that he actually has some decent production, it always comes across as a surprise. Because generally speaking, when people think about Connor Murphy, they think about the defensive acumen, they think about the big frame, they think about the physicality, they think about the shot blocking, and the suppression on the back end. This is a guy who can play PK, he can play shutdown minutes, he can play everywhere you need a shutdown guy to play, and for an Oilers team that has needed a bolster up to their defense over the past few months here, Connor Murphy, I'm not saying he is the answer, but he definitely helps. You take a look at the game log with Chicago, this guy can play upwards of 21 to 22 minutes a night. Some games he has fewer than that, 15-minute games, 17-minute games, but other games he is going out there as the number 1 option on defense for Chicago. And speaking about that Blackhawks team, obviously we know that they're not going to be a playoff contender this season. They can sell, they can grab some picks, they can bolster up their youth, and they are supporting the cause in Edmonton as well, going out there and fulfilling Stan Bowman's need to get all the Connors in the NHL. The Oilers should have also re-signed Connor Brown instead of Mangiapane. It's kind of funny because this Oilers fan says, yeah, 100%. Connor Brown is the exact profile of a player the Oilers' bottom 6 needs. But more on that later. Is it better or worse than collecting Petterssons? That, of course, is quite the comparison there. I like this for Edmonton, not a flashy player, but is pretty defensively reliable, loves to throw the body. Darn, almost like a Brett Kulak. That's a really funny way to look at this trade, eh? The Oilers getting their Brett Kulak replacement after sending him over to Pittsburgh in the Stu Skinner-Tristan Jarry trade. A third Connor has hit the Oilers. That would be the fourth Connor this season, as the Oilers also have a prospect named Connor Clattenburg, who had played a couple of games earlier in the year. Don't forget Connor Ungar, Connor Ingram, Connor McDavid. So Stan Bowman is getting the gang together back here, of course. Rated PG-44 has a pretty interesting question. With this trade of Connor Murphy, who is the longest tenured Blackhawk right now? It's probably not the name you thought, honestly. It's Arvid Soderblom and Alex Vlasic, as both have been on the team since 2021-2022. So the Blackhawks are going through some pretty extensive change at this time in their timeline, and ultimately this trade is a kickstart of that right away here. The Oilers are getting a pretty good guy. Who knows what other moves they end up making, what other defensemen are available on the market. There has been talk about Tyler Myers, there's been talk about Rasmus Ristolainen, Justin Falk. I don't think Tyler Myers would waive to go to Edmonton, but when it comes to some of these other options, hey, guess what? The Oilers still have their first-round pick. So if they really wanted to make a bet and make a big swing going for it, there is an opportunity for them to do just that and try to bolster their decor even more. Heck, there was a Brett Kulak available on the market a while ago. They could have gotten him. Let's head over to the Oilers subreddit and read what they have to say on this deal. Okay, so the trade has actually officially been announced over here, finally, courtesy of the Edmonton Oilers and their Instagram account. The Oilers have acquired Connor Murphy from the Blackhawks in exchange for a second-round pick in 2028. Chicago is retaining 50% of the $4.4 million salary. Is this good? Are we happy? I mean, for $2.2 million, a stay-at-home D-man, and we only traded a second-round pick in 2028, it's a good deal. Let's say we're not happy, but we're not mad either. Murphy with Nurse, right? Or do we think they finally move Nurse to the third pair and give Wallman a fair chance at the second pair? Tell me how to feel, please. I don't know enough about him. He's a good player, and he will provide a lot more than a second-round pick would value-wise to the Edmonton Oilers right now. So for Connor Murphy, this is a big chance to show off that he's got what it takes to stick around with a cup-contending team. I would expect him to get 20-plus minutes a night for Edmonton, if, especially, they assume that he is the main shutdown dude on their blue line. Darnell Nurse has had a lot of issues this season. I think that's been very fair to say. And you also have yourselves just some other defensemen that have been kind of suspicious on the back end as well. Evan Bouchard didn't make the Olympic team for reasons we all understand. Jake Wallman is a more offensive guy. Ty Emberson is young. Spencer Stasny, too. There are spots here on the Oilers' blue line for extra depth and shutdown guys. So, Connor Murphy, welcome to Edmonton, buddy. With all that said, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this Murphy to Edmonton trade? Thank goodness the actual trade details were confirmed and posted about on social media before this video stopped recording, so we could actually say that it went down for real. But if you're an Oilers fan, what are your thoughts on Connor Murphy heading over to your team? If you're a Blackhawks fan, how do you feel about this trade as well? I honestly thought you might have been able to get more for Murphy. Like, I was thinking a second and a third, maybe a second and a nice prospect, maybe even a first. But just a second, with 50% retained, honestly, I thought that he would go for a little more than that. But you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.